What's up? What's up, peeps? I'm back. I am back. And let's see what we got happening. Angelo, my brother, Angelo Shelton. Okay, what's up, Angelo? I don't know if you're still here, but whoever is here, I'd like for you to just leave a little comment onto the right and tell me what's going on in your world, and we'll get this thing on. Trying something new today because according to YouTube, most of the people that are following me are around at this time. Deborah, hey, how are you? Hope you had a good day today. It was a nice day to get out. It wasn't too hot, you know. At least you can take a little walk, and yeah, but it's all good. So tell me what's happening. Yokohama coming in from LA. What part of LA? Yokohama 83. I got a lot of people in Los Angeles, man. We roll deep in Inglewood and East LA. So those are my spots. Mr. Smooth. Warren, what's up, man? How are you? I'm glad you guys are here. Yeah, we're trying something different because according to Google Analytics, everyone is available at this hour. So I'm just trying to connect with everybody at the time that they claim y'all are supposed to be around. So take me a little sip of my beverage, if you don't mind. And let's adjust the camera. Yeah, right. Yeah, let's do that. That's a thing to do. So what's going on, y'all? Talk to me. I've been away for a minute. Those of you who were around the last couple of live streams, y'all know the deal. You know what happened with that situation. So without revisiting anything negative, we're gonna press on forward. Downtown. You what? When you say downtown, you talking about Inglewood? Because I think the next town over, my people are not too far from Beverly Hills area. I'm not sure what that Rodeo Drive, I think it is. But nevertheless, man, yeah, LA, man, I love I got a story about Los Angeles too. A few stories. Actually, I got a whole lot. Anybody, you've been following me, you know how brother always got a story happening. But yeah, man, I'll get to your question in a minute, but I just want to share the story. My wife, who is a professional dancer, at the time we were in LA in '86, and yeah, man, she was just getting into the game and all, and yeah, she almost wound up with a gig at Disneyland. Yeah, she was gonna go. Oh, Koreatown, cool. That's nice. That's real cool. Yeah, man, that's a good spot, man. That's a good spot. Yeah. I love California, man. Mr. Smith, you gotta go to work. What? Gotta go to work. So always a replay, my brother. You know what I mean? So you catch it on the replay, but it's good. Finally got the first let me get the name of the studio. Okay. It's terrible that I Trusty is Trust Productions. Yeah, I don't know if this brother follows me or not, but he sent me a studio tour. It was kind of cool the way he put it together too. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be on this level, but you got to pay attention to detail, and he really did, pay attention to detail in terms of, taking you on a trip through his world. I hope he tunes in. I sent him the link, so I'm trying to not get ahead, too far ahead, but I definitely want you guys to see his place, which is happening. I really like the way he has everything laid out. It seems to be in a very comfortable spot, and it seems to be extremely functional, and functionality is very important when you're trying to flow. I don't know if he's a multi-instrumentalist. He appears to be. And if you've like when I'm composing, and if you've seen any of my older videos about my studio tools, you notice I had a composing station. I had the recording, which was Pro Tools HD recording. Composing was Sibelius, and I did that on this computer that I'm streaming from right now. And then I had another spot that I did all my MIDI work from, which was running Logic, and that was on another computer. So I definitely understand the need to be as functional as possible when you're doing this thing. But yeah, so without saying too much, yes, Yokohama, you said you got one question, so let's answer your question real quick. 83, I'm assuming you were born in 1983. That makes you 37 years old, I think. Yeah, 37. I'm getting up there, brother. I'm getting up there. All right, so ask your question, and I'll see if I could do my best to answer it. But it's all good. And if any of you who looked at the last video, which was like ironically, it was sent to me a request from someone who's like stuck, and they wanted to know which preamp to purchase. You know, whether it was going to be the TB12 or the WA73. So that's where that last video came in from. But yeah. So I'm just waiting for Shazam. What's going on, brother? I caught your last video. I love it, man. I love it. Love it. Yeah, it's all good, man. Let's see now. See. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wait just a few more minutes for Yokohama 83. He said he had a question. I'm trying to take, but Shazam, tell me what's going on with you, man. What you been up to? You seem like you've been kind of busy, you know. And Mr. Smooth said he got to bounce. So, like I said, you gotta catch that replay, brother. And yeah, I gotta remember there's a delay, you know. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm real time. It's like a 3 or 4 second delay between what I'm saying and it reaching other people. This is television, folks, if you will. So I got to get used to that. But yeah, it's all good, man. But it's been a good week. You know, I had a lot of you know, I definitely want to put out more content. That was a goal number one. Number two, I really needed to sit down and do some more composing and writing and all those things. So if you were on the community board, you saw some of the things that I was writing. One of the things I covered was reharmonizing a piece and some things you should keep in mind for those of you who like to reharmonize pieces. And reharmonizing tunes is a very easy, well, ask your boy Ed Sheeran, I think is who ripped off Marvin Gaye, an easy way to rewrite material that may already be in the public domain without actually being sued, provided you don't get crazy and go and rip off the melody like my man did with the whole thing. But okay, it's all good. So let's jump into it. Oh, cool shit. All right, we're gonna get to that in a minute because I want to talk about that as well. Yes, Yokohama. So he says my music sounds good when I play it off of a Yamaha HS7, but when I export it and play the music other places, it sounds bad. Is that because I'm mixing without a sub and I don't have room treatment? That is hard to say without first assessing the environment that you're recording in. I mean, well, that might, I'm not going to diminish that, but you said mixing, so let's talk about mixing real fast. The sub is just to check the bottom end reference to make sure that it's not too boomy, not too. What I would suggest, I don't know what instruments are causing you this problem. If you say vocals, then I could address the vocal. If you say keyboards or whatever it is that or area that you're having a problem in, then maybe I could address it more pointedly. But yes, room treatment is important. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. There's ways around it, even in the worst of environments. So, you know, that doesn't, your room does not necessarily diminish your ability to produce quality music, but it can hamper it if you don't pay attention to certain things. So bad everywhere else. What's the problem? Well, like I said, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know under what circumstances you recorded, what's the equipment chain. It could be any number of things, because you got to remember, it all starts at the source. You know what I mean? So if you say, okay, well, I noticed that it's very mid-rangey, then it's a matter of you maybe putting up a spectrum analyzer. That's why I live and die by that, the TC Electronic Clarity M. If you can't hear it and you're noticing that you're having a problem when you're mixing, having a frequency analyzer is an indispensable piece of equipment, simply because it gives you a visual reference as to what is your problem frequency. If you notice as you're looking at the spectrum, you got this peak in the 5K area, you reach for the 5K or find out what the 5K area issue is. It may be vocal, maybe guitar, maybe something that's popping or causing you to have a maybe +3 or +5 decibel reference on the frequency analyzer. Then you have to go to that and dial that back. You know, it could be any number of things. Don't diminish the mic. Don't diminish the ability of rooms to catch nodes. You know, there are some things that you can do to diminish room nodes. I don't know if you guys know about notching frequencies out. You know, that is something that you really ought to pay attention to, because you got harmonics, you have first and second delays coming back from the microphone that can cause combing effects. It's a whole lot of stuff, man. So if you said vocals, then you know, the height, the width, the depth of the room, all those things make a difference. You know what I mean? But if you notice that it's just like straight up bad, then you need to isolate your mixes some kind of way. Build the mix from the bottom up. You know, I'm kind of old school in that when you're building a mix, you start with the bottom, the bass. If you have a sub, that's good. The sub is just giving you a reference point for when you're just trying to manage the bottom end. Okay, you say it's the mix as a whole. Okay, so this is what I would do. I won't say what you need to do, because I don't know your circumstance in great detail. I would start by isolating. If you're mixing in Pro Tools, mute, start by the bass. Okay? If you're finding that the bass is out of control and it's not sitting in the mix, you need to put a compressor on it. You need to make sure that you watch and time the compressor's release to the groove of the track. Don't go against. That's another thing that people keep asking me about, in that you got to remember that the timing of the track determines your release time. You want that bass to sit. So once the bass is happening, bring in the kick drum. See that those two are agreeing. They can't be fighting, because if you have fighting in your bass, it's going to destroy everything. So you got to get those two agree. If there's some fighting going on with the bass, what you need to do is pick which instrument is going to be dominant. If you want the kick to be dominant, the kick got to be dominant. If you want the bass groove in the keyboard track to be dominant, then you got to pick that. But they both cannot have equal footing, because bass on bass fighting is a recipe for disaster. You got that happening. Bring the snare drum in. Pop. You got all this nonsense happening. Then you need to, okay, I need to compress the snare. But by how much? Time that to the groove of the track. It's overly bassy and muddy. Okay. Yeah, it's in Ableton. What you really, really need to do, I'm not familiar with Ableton to be able to advise you what plugins to use. I would export, if you can, everything out to Pro Tools. Even if you get the free version of Pro Tools, and work from there. You know, in terms, like I said, bass, the kick, bring in the snare, hi-hat, get the rhythm section happening. Okay, you got a guitar in there, you know, a guitar groove. Make sure that the guitar is sitting well in the mid-range. Okay, now that's how you build a mix. That's how I build a mix. Okay, now what I would advise you to do, and this is some very, very cheap insurance that I don't know why people don't mix on Auratones, because that's going to give you everything in the middle, as well as the lower mids touching the bass a bit, And if you mix with Auratones and you had a sub, that's like, to me, like I say to people often, and have often said in live streams, if you are able to mix with Auratones in a sub, it's impossible to botch the mix. It's almost literally impossible because it's already giving you a limited range to work in. So if you can make it sound good there, it's going to sound good virtually everywhere. Now, if the bass is out of control and muddy, that is just control. You have to, the way you're recording it, or it needs a compressor on top of it so that it sits. You know, I don't know if you're using software synths or outboard synth. If you're using an outboard synth and you're going into Ableton, recording a wave track of some sort, you definitely have to compress that going in just so that it sits better. Because if a bass groove is not sitting good, then the whole track is going to fall off the cliff. Everything is affected, you know. And from a musical perspective, like when I was in school, they said the bass underpins everything, underpins all harmonic activity, all of it. Because you think about it, how many times, if for anybody who likes jazz, have you heard of just bass and vocal? You know, back in the Baroque era, they had I forgot the instrument that they used to use sometimes with the recorder, but it underpinned, the recorder did the melody, and that other instrument of that era, I forgot the theremin. It's a sort of organ-like material, organ-like instrument, but it underpinned, so that the two have to agree. If that bass is out of control, man, you have a problem. So you got to make sure that you get that to sit properly, man. If you looked at my video about the time I was with Carlton Betts, when he had a spot at the Hit Factory, and sure enough, Keith Shockley was producing the track, and I'm sitting there listening, and I don't know whether or not, this isn't the time of tape, but I don't know whether or not the engineer didn't demagnetize the leader tape or demagnetize the leader tape, demagnetize the razor blade before he joined the leader tape. But as soon as you hear click, and then she starts saying click, click. Now imagine, this guy got like giant box of speakers, everything. That click was so loud. And Carl look over me, I look over him. He like, yo, these mixes, as far as I'm concerned, it's master. He sends the master over to Keith Shockley, and literally minutes later, he sends it over. Blah, blah, blah. Yo, what's that click? He like, I don't know. It was in the master you gave me. I mean, by default, he couldn't edit it out, only because it was right after that click. It was like almost like her vocal came, DeBella Morgan's vocal came right in. So how do you fix that? So it just tells you that you really need to reference that bottom end. You know, I know everybody run around 8-inch monitors. Yeah, you know, that's okay. But every now and then you got to be able to bring the bottom, because there's frequencies below the frequency. Okay? So you got to think about the 80 to 100, 120 is girth, 350 is lower mids, but it's the knock. You know, you got to find those frequencies that are giving you problems. My suggestion, too, I'm going to give you, and then we're going to move on. Suggestion number 1, get that TC Electronic Clarity M, if for nothing else, the ability to reference it from a frequency analyzation perspective. 1, and 2, get yourself some Auratones. It's cheap. They're cheap. They're $350. You could buy an amp on eBay for next to nothing. You know what I mean? But at least it gives you a real world reference, and I can understand your frustration. I know how frustrated you are, but this will solve your problems. Trust me on that one. Should you do your mixing in Pro Tools and convert everything into audio for more control? I would mix in Pro Tools, period. I love Logic, but because I have to work with people outside of here, I have to comply with whatever, and every place that I work with from professional perspective, they all want Pro Tools sessions. So yes, even if that's not your default, and that's okay, have it, because and for what it's worth right now, you can get the free version. You don't have to mix in it. You know what I mean? You could just transfer the mix, and I think you can. I don't know if anyone wants to chime in terms of XMLing the mix out so that it follows into everything. But you know, I would have it just as a default. But before that, get that Clarity M and if you can get your hands on some Auratones, that's going to help you. And then you can add a sub in later, you know what I mean? But you got to be able to visually see what the bass is doing and how out of control it is. And you got to be able to build your mix from the bottom up. So Shazam says he's about to upgrade his yes, I mean it's a worthwhile purchase, you know, if you can get your hands on it. You know, the sub it's only going to help you. And if you're sending stuff out and if you want it to translate properly from iTunes and things like that, you got to definitely be able to reference that bottom end. I mean, that you must. I mean, that, you know, if the bass is not happening, man, the whole track is falling apart. Period. You know what I mean? That bass has to sit right. So happy 37th birthday to Yokohama 83. I don't know when your birthday is, but wishing you a happy birthday, either belated or in advance. And Shazam is adding that sub, which is a good thing. And yeah, now he talking about he's putting new cameras for his video. That's cool, man. Hey man, Inc. magazine says that the wave of the future is the visual part of audio. So anyone who's not migrating in that direction plans on being out of business soon. You know what I'm saying? You know, so yeah, that's a good thing to be able to get now. Canon, now are you getting a C300? You know, because I actually about a month ago I jumped into the Blackmagic, still learning it. You know, I want to be able to incorporate that more into my workflow. So as I'm still learning it, I'm folding it into the process slowly. But yeah, so Trusty Productions, I don't know if he is here. I hope he is. But let's just take a quick little gander at this man's studio right now.
Welcome to Trusty Productions. We call this the two-seater spaceship. Let's take a tour. Let's begin with the AK Racing gaming chair. A TD-25 Roland drum set. Focal shaped twin monitors. On the desk, we have a Samsung 49-inch curved monitor for viewing sessions. Avid Artist Mix. A CME Bluetooth keyboard. Apollo 16 and twin with 2 satellite octo cards. WA73 microphone, preamp from Warm Audio. SSL Fusion Stereo Analog Color. dangerous tubas, and 2 GPT-50 GIF hard drives with 2 terabytes each. We have a Keylab 88 from Auratone, and an LG 34-inch ultra-wide monitor for tracking. Everything here is powered by a MacBook Pro 2017 i7, 16 gigabytes of RAM, Neumann TLM49 condenser microphone, hope you enjoyed the tour. Questions, comments, or any additional information regarding this tour, feel free to contact us at trusteebiz@gmail.com. That's trusteebiz@gmail.com.
So that is Trusty Productions. That was cool. Yeah, he put his foot in that one, B. He put his foot in that one. Now, questions, comments. Tell me what you guys thought. George Thompson says, nice gig. Yeah, he has a pretty cool setup. He has a pretty cool setup. He's definitely set up for some serious work. You know, there's no doubt about that. Yokohama asked a question. You said, what audio school did I go to? And can I make a living in audio? Also, what city do you suggest going? You are in the perfect spot, B. I ain't gonna lie to you. You ain't right in California. But see, the thing about you youngsters, man, y'all don't want to be working in television and film. That's crazy. Every large check I've ever received was either writing a cue for somebody for their little student film, because it's a flat rate. You know? Student films, independent films, I've worked on quite a few. It's not my staple business, but yeah. Now, what school did I go to? I didn't go to audio school, and I don't suggest you do that either. No. If you got that kind of money to spend, you'd be better off learning by trial and error. Go buy the equipment. Don't sink 14 in some kid. I'm stepping, off topic for a quick second, just to answer your question, just to comment on what you're saying right now. Do not spend 50 grand on an audio education. That's absolutely absurd and crazy. That same 50 grand, you can go and sink it to some serious equipment and learn yourself. Go to YouTube University. You know what I mean? You could buy the quality equipment with that kind of money. But to sink it in student loans, going into hock, and then when you come out, you're wondering, okay, what I'm going to do? Now, if you're an instrumentalist, different story. Again, all you youngsters want to just make beats. That's okay. But if you're trying to eat, man, you better learn how to play a piano. You better learn how to arrange. You better learn how to write a chart for somebody. You know, you can make, how much I make for each finished copy of chart that I write for someone? $100 a page. The $100 could be the difference between you keeping your lights on or off. You know what I mean? But I'm a musician first. You know what I mean? So, I can write. I can read. I play piano well enough to arrange for any ensemble. And that's not saying it because I'm souped up. It's saying it because I can. Arrange for string quartet, small jazz band. Well, I ain't gonna say large jazz, man. I got a friend of mine. He can write for big band. It's like, But, because I've never dabbled in larger ensemble. But small ensemble, genre of R&B or gospel or jazz or small string quartet, I can write. You know what I mean? You guys got to put the time in to learn the music. Because once it's up here, it coming out is easy. Yeah, you ask my wife, when I get hired on like a big job where I got to write all the parts out, bring in singers and all this, where it's I'm intense. I'll write stuff out. They got to be correct. And that comes from being around people like Gerald Trotman. As a matter of fact, my friend Gerald Trotman, if you send me a Yokohama, this is for you, because Gerald's out in California right now. He's one of my mentors, Gerald Trotman. You look him up. Gerald, the passion that he has for music is crazy. He's writing for Pete the Cat right now in LA. As a matter of fact, so send me a private message, and I'll see if I can connect you to. Maybe he can mentor you in that direction. But don't diminish, the ability to write for games and all the stuff that people cast off as not so glamorous work. Everybody chases platinum records. I know people with platinum records can't make the rent next month. Okay? So you got to survive, man. And if it's a matter of survival, you need to know all the music. How to arrange in all 12 keys. You got to put yourself on that path in order to survive, because the work is going to come from every... Yeah, and you say, if you write for music library, there's ways of making a living in music. It's just that everybody chases the rainbow. Then when they get to the end of the rainbow, as they old and grayed over, they realize there ain't no pot of gold there. Because you busy chasing that brass ring. You got to survive, man. And that's what this game is. Long game. Don't play the short game. The whole lot of people that sell beats to this one and that one, and they may make $11,000 here and there. I don't know if y'all remember me talking about the kid. $26,000 he made on some gig out in California, paid no taxes. One of my assistants, I looked at him like, are you retarded? Do you know that company probably listed in their compliance reports, they paid you a check for $26,000? Looking at me, you youngsters looking at me like, you staring at me for? You better go find an accountant. You got to redo your tax return. So all the stuff that's out there. But a lot of these youngsters, I know they make some bank selling beats and all that, but that's not longevity. Because one day you will look up, you will have gray hair like me, and people going to be like, I'm going to the younger dude. But I'm not worried about that. Why? Because I have people to cater to me on a musical perspective. I can flow in just about any genre, minus hip hop, okay, and rock and pop, and all those the kid music. I don't do too much of that. I do a lot of jazz and gospel. These are where I built my career. In jazz and in gospel, and as an arranger for independent artists and small ensembles. That's I like to R&B. I've been doing this a long time. You can fly under the radar. The race is not necessarily for the swift. You got to be able to endure. Because one day you're going to look up, you're going to be 47 and 57, and then what? Do cues for TV and stuff pay well? Okay, let me give you an example. I was involved in you could look this film up. Life and Times of Winfred Rembert. I have to find it. No, All Me is the name of the film. All Me, is a documentary. Life and Times of Winfred Rembert. You could make upwards of $750 per finished minute of music. Now, cues aren't that long, but if I showed you the cue sheet that I did when I was working on the film, you got about maybe 26, 27 cues. Okay, so multiply 27 by maybe 30 seconds a piece at $750. You do the math. Nobody don't want to do this kind of music. That's okay. You can leave it for me. Thank you. I'll take the $750 and go on vacation with my baby with it. You know what I mean, baby. Y'all better get up on it. I ain't playing. Okay, so back to Mr. Pirate Bay and YouTube. You laughing at me. Y'all know. These kids got a lot of information available to them, man. Back in the day, I tell you about my man that was like trying to learn how to play organ in a church, and the church organist who would have been his like net rival, see him coming, pulled all the stops out so he don't know the settings on the organ. You know how we used to have to learn. We used to have to sit at the feet of those who were doing what we wanted to do. You know what I mean? You know, and Gerald Trotman and Yokohama, if you're still here, I said send me a private message and I'll see if I could connect you with Gerald. Gerald was the one that really lit the fire into me, because I used to slack off, you know, do it all you know, you get lazy as a musician. Oh, here's a tape, man. Learn the song. Nah, man. But you want to play with the big boys, you got to be able to hire people, and maybe the singer you are hiring can solfege. And if she could solfege, that's gonna shorten the time. I've been in situations where I handed a piece to a pianist and they sight read it dynamically and note for note on first read. You know what kind of skill that requires? That's a skill I don't have. Sight reading. I can read, but sight reading on first read, do you know how valuable these people are? So you got to put tools and you got to put bullets in the gun, because you never know what you're going to be called for. You never know what you're going to be called for. So, Angelo, good day. Hey, what's up, man? Angelo is someone that is new here, and I like to know what Angelo is involved in, so maybe he can shed some light. And you guys got to tell me what you thought of Trusty Productions. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, one thing I would have to add as a point of criticism, and I know a lot of people do that, they buy that foam stuff that you can buy from, I guess, Sweetwater. That stuff is whack. It does not work. In terms of, they say, this is a bass trap. It's not a bass trap, people. It's not a bass trap. They selling you $50-something foam because it's dense, and they call it a bass trap. Every bass trap I've ever seen in a professional environment has mass, and when you can't have mass, you have to build a floating unit that has mass in it. Here's an example. I had a friend of mine, David Merrill. David Merrill worked as the engineer on all of the Cosby episodes, and John Aschenbrenner, he worked for John Aschenbrenner, who is also a composer in downtown. And John Aschenbrenner was the composer for The Guiding Light and a lot of the soaps in the 70s, right? So one day David says, yo, you got to come up to John built a studio in the penthouse downtown. Now, if y'all been downtown Manhattan and you've been in anybody's penthouse, and I've been in quite a few, these penthouses are done up. I'll give you an example. I went to some guy's penthouse. He was like some billionaire developer. I was playing for Devell Crawford, and the help tells me, oh, you could put your things in the room down the hall. I got lost. That's how massive this man's house was. I got lost. I'm wandering around lost, and we about to start playing for this kid's party, and I'm like, I don't know where I am. They was like, you got to go up this and make a right turn here. So these penthouses are done up. Okay, back to David. So David said John built this place in the Daily Planet, in the penthouse. I was like, oh, moving up, I guess, checking and everything is, yeah, come and check it out. So you get in the control room. Now, back in the day, what you used to have to do, the plate glass has to be vacuum sealed, and it wasn't trapped. The room wasn't bass trapped yet. It was still under construction. So I made a mistake and leaned. John had this 88 key Yamaha keyboard, and I didn't know that the piano was on, but I leaned on like the low C, 2 C's below middle C, and it vibrated the plate glass so much. Okay, that's the power and the strength of a low frequency note. The only way to get rid of that long wave is to have mass and distance. He had no bass trapping in the control room yet. Everything was just being wired up, and I didn't know that John was up composing stuff, and I hit the thing, and it almost blew that plate glass out. So you really need to bass trapping. If you're gonna don't use the foam, people. Don't use the foam. You'd be better off building something that's a freestanding unit that could absorb the energy, and you could put mass inside of it. There's, I think they call them diaphragmatic absorbers, where it'll absorb through this some little chamber, but in the chamber there's mass, so that when the wave hits it, it gets broken, and the heat, and turns into heat and diffuses that wave preventing it from coming back and remodulating itself in the room. That's what happened. That bass wave went straight, hit the glass, came back, went straight, hit the glass, and each time it gets bigger and bigger. It started shaking that plate. He was scrambling, looking for the off knob on the console to mute the monitors, because he had those big Altec monitors in the wall at the time as well. So, you know, just food for thought. Don't buy that stuff. Don't buy that. You need mass for bass. Okay, and I think I'm gonna wind up doing a video at some point about acoustic treatment as well, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there, you know, that people are just buying stuff and it's more gimmicky than not. How do I send you a private message for Gerald Trotman? Well, you can't send me a private message with Gerald Trotman, but what you can do is send me a private message to connect with me. I'll get in touch with Gerald and see if Gerald has time to sit with you. And youngsters, another thing with y'all, I got to beef with you people. Be open. You know, I meet so many arrogant ones. It's like, you know, you get out of school and you think you know it all. No. You know, you got to be willing to empty yourself in order to be filled by someone else. You know, no one wants to pay dues. You know, everyone wants to arrive. You got to pay dues, man. You know. Oh, Max, David. Okay, that was for you youngsters. That's for you youngsters. I come in contact with you all the time. I'm hiring them. Got some that you hire them. They sitting up there on their phone, and I'm like, I smack my, get that phone out your hand, and you on my gig. You know what I mean? So you got to be willing to absorb, you know, what's being shared with you. You know, and be willing to work hard and go above and beyond, because hard work always gets noticed, and that's how you get hired and asked back, is if I can trust that you're going to work hard for the gig that I'm calling you on. Okay. Max Davius says, how can I send you my space? Do me a favor. Yes, my brother, send me a private message, and the email is on my website. Or if you go back through the community feed, I outlined how it, or maybe if I repost it, but I would suggest right now, if you can, just go through the community feed, and I gave you guys a detailed way to show your space. But in terms of this brother, he really did, he followed it to the letter. In other words, it was his own creative spin on it, and that was great. And you guys got to tell me what you thought of it, because I thought it was well laid out. The only caveat was those two things in the wall and no patch bay. Now, getting in the back and be yanking stuff in and out is not cool. Milan, my words of wisdom, respect. Hey, my brother. Cool, man. Cool. Prime Acoustic London 12-room kit. I don't know. I guess it's the reason why I'm saying I don't know about all this other stuff is because I've been in a lot of environments that didn't have all this. Here's another example. See, I tell you all, you know, I got stories, right? Right before Alan Glover, I've worked on all of Alan's records. Anyway, he was building a space up in Poughkeepsie, and one day he's like, "Yo, you gotta come down to the place that's being constructed. I gotta show you something." So he bought this big house in Poughkeepsie. Got a beautiful studio in it too, man. He was like sparing no expense. But anyway, he has this area as it was being constructed that was open. He said it's this new stuff out. I don't know if it was just new to him or if it was new to the industry, but it was called rock wool. And he had like a 5-inch bat of rock wool on a sewer line. He flushed the toilet in the studio, and the water was passed by the spot that had this little swatch of rock wool. When I tell you it killed the sound, it was about this wide. The sound stopped in this space, and then it picked back up as it was exiting the area that was not covered with sheetrock. I was stunned. So if you guys are looking for inexpensive solutions for acoustics to minimize transmission of sound, the I think it's called Roxul, Roxull now. It's an organic material. It's not like Owens Corning, which can you have to be careful. I know, Justin, you were talking about the Owens Corning Forge, which is great. Oh yeah, and the ready traps used to make sway. Yep. Yeah, there are companies, but the Owens Corning stuff is a lot more expensive than the Roxo Safe and Sound. That is some stuff, man, and it's cheap. It's like $50. You get 8 sheets of this stuff in Home Depot, and you could do the same thing. So where do you send the private message? Is on my about page. Okay, the email is there. Just copy that, send it to me, tell me how we connected, and I'll put you in touch with Gerald. But Gerald is definitely a person to know. I mean, this guy gets jobs, man. He's such a good person, man. You ever meet somebody that has like a really good soul, and yeah, we did so much work together. Work with Gerald on. Gerald introduced me to Mr. Pirate Brain. You probably could appreciate this. I met what's the name through Gerald because we were working on a play. Isaac, yeah, he and Isaac are good friends. Who is a great playwright. Ted Lange, yeah, I met him through. We worked on some material with Ted Lange, for a play that he wrote, The Life of Biddy Mason. Yeah, so Gerald knows people, man. I mean, and that's how. If you are willing to sit and learn, and he's a very open and he reaches out to people. He's really good people, man. He's really good people. Okay, so here are the comments. Milan I guess it's Murderink. Okay, you have the Madrinic. I guess Milan Madrinic. I'm from Canada. Canada. Hey, brother. A brother's about to migrate, so get my bed ready. Y'all see what's happening down here. Jesus. Anyway, he said he's from Canada, and he used rock. Yes, from Home Depot. Grace said, yes, sir. Yeah, man. You want an easy solution to fix like a noise problem? That Roxo is no joke. I mean, but you got to build the walls right. You got to float it. And only mass can kill, bass frequencies. Sorry to interrupt. I can't find a personal message. You mean you want to send a private message? Personal message? If you're trying to get my email, it's on the about page of the channel. You go to the about, it'll say for business inquiries, you just hit me up there. And back to my brother about the my Canadian brother, yeah, with the Roxo Safe and Sound is definitely the bomb dig, and it's cheap. Talking about secrets that folks got. I mean, you could make diffusers, diffractors with that thing. You want to do absorbers? It is so flexible, and depending on how you use it. Max, you're not interrupting, brother. We just flowing, Can we follow you on Instagram? Absolutely, man. I'd love that. I would appreciate it if you did. Brother got to step his Instagram game up. But I mean, if you're doing Warren Henry, I'm there. I've been trying to get the whole rhythm studio thing happen. Man, it's hard. I need to hire somebody for outreach, man, because it's you're trying to juggle so many platforms. It's like, okay, But Justin said, I just got to say, Lewitt mic you're using sounds great. Yeah. I mean, Lewitt, they reached out to me, man, with a really nice message. They were like, now, for those of you who remember what happened a few weeks ago, for those of you who want to know all the drama that has happened, if you want to be nosy, go back a couple and you'll see all the stuff I went through with a particular company. But, Angelo, I'm in the recording in New Jersey, Philly. Oh, cool, man. That's cool. Listen, I used to, back in the day, there was a spot in, I think, not be in the Oranges. There was a spot in the Oranges I used to go to with a good friend of mine, Sam Manigault. He's the keyboard player for BT Express. I'm really, really dating myself now. But Sam Manigault was a keyboard player for BT Express, and he shared a studio with Vaughn Mason from Vaughn Mason and the crew. Mr. Pirate Brain probably knows who I'm talking about, but Vaughn Mason had Bounce Skate Roll Rock, which was a big hit for him on Brunswick Records. And at the time, the BT Express was killing. They were like a killing band out of But Milan, you laughing at my Canada thing, right? I know. But yeah, man. But but I used to go to Sam Spot in East Orange, but there was another studio I used to go with and work with Dana Reed, who is a gospel producer, and it was a spot I think on 46. But that was when I got opened by a NEVE 8068 console. I was just blown away. It was a nice spot. I think it was Grand Slam Studios. It was a small spot, but they had a huge space. Really nice place, man. Really nice place. Angelo says his work is comprised of B-movie music production, paycheck, stage production, another paycheck, larger local artists. All right, I ain't gonna mess with this guy. He know what it is. You gotta survive. And if you can work what if you can manage what you're doing well on a local. As a matter of fact, that's how Von Mason and Raymond, what's Raymond's last name? I forget. But he was in charge of Brunswick Records back in the day. That's how they got started. They managed everything on a very local level. Sylvia Robinson was another one from New Jersey who they had this little local thing happening that blew up into something large. So yeah. Von Mason passed away a few weeks ago. He groomed a friend of mine, Chauncey. What's Chauncey's last name? I forget Chauncey's name. We grew up in the same building too. But he groomed Chauncey, who was worked at his label as well. Yeah, man. But if you can get the whole local thing happening, that's the same thing with Damon. Damon started Rockefeller in his living room. I remember when he started the label, And before that, Damon was managing local acts for the original Flavor was one of his acts. So, everybody, like I say, they chase the top without doing all the work from the bottom up. And if you're willing to do all the work from the bottom up, knowing and being comfortable in what you're able to accomplish, and if you can do what you're able to do well, then national, then international, all those markets start to open to you. But if you can't manage local good, then you can't expect no national act or international act to be contacting you for your services. So that's just that. Oh, Max Steve, I just sent the pictures to you. Oh, cool. Excellent, man. Excellent. Okay, so let's go back. Thanks for sharing the knowledge. This is the real T Major. Hey, man, listen, man. A lot of you guys are here, man. I am impressed. Y'all stopped to say hello to a brother who's been hiding out. For those of you, again, who want to know why I've been hiding out, you got to go to the other live streams. Somebody got under my skin a little too deep. And it was crazy. You got to go back and look at it. But great advice. This is the real T Major says, I've been chasing this dream since I was a child. Now I'm 35, which you are very young. I'll trade ages with you any day of the week. Retired. Okay. So that's pretty good. I thought I was doing something when I could declare myself able to retire at 38. I guess I wasn't doing anything. You got me beat by 3 years. Okay. Back to what you said. I'm 35 and retired, and engineering production is his focus. Excellent. I always feel like it's a losing relationship. Okay. Here's a bit of advice. Just based on, I feel like it's a losing relationship. If you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing every time. Period. Point blank. Full stop. You have to be comfortable where you are. My perspective as a musician has been to focus on the middle. By me focusing on the middle, I saw a lot of people get to the top of the mountain. I'm talking about multi-platinum, multi-Grammy winning people. That wasn't my focus. You got to be comfortable. Some people chase that. I got a friend of mine who's as old as I am, still chasing it. That's absolutely absurd. You're old. Chasing an R&B career at 50-something years old? Come on. That's whack. But see, I'm a musician. I love music. You know what I mean? So whatever I'm in, and I'm able to interact with the kids, and there's some fantastic Vaughn Branch. Look Vaughn Branch up on Vaughn Branch, a killing producer out of the Bronx. Killing. He like a Rodney Jerkins. Young brother. Maybe late 30s now, early 40s. These are people flying. Where Ayanna George out of the Bronx. Y'all ever heard Ayanna sing? The first time the girl I did a session with her, I was like, effortless. These are great singers. She was doing the mic right before Broadway shut down for the whole year. She was doing the Michael Jackson thing. She's a fantastic vocalist. So you have to focus. Because if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit nothing every time, man. Period. I can't, and you got to be specific. You got to be goal-oriented. You know what I mean? You got to be goal-oriented. You got to say, I'm going to accomplish this at that point. And the goal can't be above your pay grade. Like, you'll never hear me say, I'm going to write for the big band, and I've never written for big band before. I've written for smaller ensemble. So before I can write for big band, I have to learn the idiom of big band. I have to learn the form of big band. I know the form of music, but maybe the form is not what I'm used to. You got to learn certain things in the process before you can accomplish the big thing. You got to set micro goals. Okay, so I start with a micro goal. Maybe I arrange for octet. You know what I mean? That's 8 pieces in an ensemble. That's getting bigger. You know, the most I'm in quartet, septet is my thing. Octet, then nonet. That's a 9 piece. Now I'm heading in that direction because now you have to make all these parts move together. But you're not gonna have a 24 piece band. Me? No, you got to work your way into it. So if you're not losing, you just maybe lack focus. And like I said to you guys before, all of the work is in media. Even if he's still here, Shazam, it's like we talking about him and incorporating more media into what he does. And Shazam's a great producer in his own right. But he has focus. He sees where the market is going. I'm going to follow the market. Sometimes it means you have to get off this beaten path. And that's sometimes the beef that I have with a lot of youngsters that think, oh, I'm never going to get old. You're going to get old one day. Come on. That's a reality of life. But if you keep spinning your wheels trying to sell beats, you will be spinning your wheels from now till doomsday. Trust me on that one. Trust me on that one. You got to stay focused. You know, and that's one thing about Damon. He's been he's intent. He's laser focused on things. You know, he knows how to get things done. Think things through, then follow through. You cannot do something that's way above your pay grade. You can't. You can't give out what you don't possess yourself. So why would you try and arrange? Why would I try and arrange for a big band, 24 pieces, when I haven't even arranged for an octet, 8 pieces? You got to baby step your way into it. You know what I mean? So will I take a big band job? Yes, I will. But see, this is how you approach it. If something is above your pay grade, you can't be so selfish and be like, okay, I'm going to do this all by myself. No, I'm going to call my good friend Ashby, who arranges for big band. I'm not going to turn the job away. I will pay him and we will sit down and get it done. I will write the smaller parts. You write the bigger parts. You know what I mean? We got to work it little by little by little by little. You're not in a losing battle. You just lack focus. Focus on one thing. If you're going to write for games, write for games. If you're going to write for TV, write for TV. You got to connect with people who are doing exactly what you want to do. Connect with that person. Ain't no need you connecting with Pookie and them down the block and Pookie and them all up in mommy's house making beats. That's whack. You going nowhere doing that. You got to pick the brain of an Al Schmidt if you want to do what Al is doing. That's what I do. I reach out to people who are doing exactly what I want to do. I have a question. I can send a message to Al. I can send a message to Bob Claremont. These guys are guys who have left the door open for me to reach out to them. I'm not all-knowing. No, I just want to survive. And that should be your goal. How do I make this thing something that can sustain me? There are ways. I'm telling you, working in television and media is the wave of the future. I tapped into this long ago. I have a friend of mine that's still trying to do. Everybody's doing this too, who starts a studio. Everybody who gets a laptop is your competitor, period. But what sets you apart? I'll never forget, I told someone to read this book, Differentiate or Die. It's a business book. You got to understand, you must differentiate yourself. So this person says, I'm mixing and mastering. Everybody's mixing and mastering. Everybody is doing the same thing. So what makes your business any better than the guy down the street? You got to differentiate that. So, let's move forward. The Real Mate says, I got you by 5. Oh, okay. Retired at 30. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, man. I'm sure you got stories, B. Jesus. Oh, man. Yes, sir. But that's cool, though, man. That, you know, I had a friend of mine who was like, oh, we got in and out. He said, I am doing my 20 and I'm out. And he did his 20 and he's out. But you have to know what your next chapter is going to be, though. You know? But that's cool. Okay, so Max Davis said, I'm 42 and now is when I decided to go. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's too late. It's never too late. It's a state of mind. It's a state of mind. Okay? Because you can't a persistent person, or you have seen a pit bull when a pit bull gets fixated on something, okay, and they like focus. I'll give you another example. I can tell you guys, I got stories. I had a friend of mine, okay, I'm gonna call his name Ray Angry, and years ago Ray and I, we did a Ray, if you know who Ray Angry is, he's like a Robert Glasper on piano. If you know who Robert Glasper is, then you need to step up out of the dark ages, B. But anyway, I remember when I first met Raymond, he was like so intense. I've met some intense musicians, but Raymond is like, and he was younger at the time, and I got Raymond by at least 10 years, and he was so focused. And I used to look at this guy, and we'd be we played a gig with the group, the East Coast Inspirational Singers, over 20 years ago, and I was like, dang, this dude is intense. All of that intensity for Raymond has led him to be one of the first call musicians in New York. I have nothing but respect for that brother. A great musician, he knew what he wanted, and laser focus. I mean, intense. His playing is so intense. You look Ray Angry. You look him up. Can't miss him. Ray is a heck of a musician. So, I mean, I've been blessed to be around some really good people. Aaron Deal is another one. Aaron Deal from Mac Avenue Records. Aaron and I, we did some work years ago when Aaron was younger. And Aaron's still young. He's in his 30s. But when he was a kid, like coming right out of school, he was killing. Now look at Aaron now. Aaron, I mean, these guys they're like fixated. Gerald Trotman's the same way. So man, it's never ever too late. Don't ever put a period on the end of your life, because dreams die. People don't. I mean, people die. Dreams don't, rather. You know, so you're gonna take that dream to the grave with you, or you're gonna execute. Think things through, then follow through. Think it. How can I accomplish this micro goal? Set yourself. Then the micro turn into macro goals. The next thing you know, you've accomplished that. But you got to put yourself in a position to accomplish something, you know. Justin R says, I like to discover music by buying okay. Yeah, that's true, man. I guess that's real school, but hey, listen, man. Listen, when it comes to finding your place in music, I mean, it's just a matter of whatever moves your heart and your soul. You can't be driven by money in this thing. And I don't know if that's what... Armando, I see you here, my brother. It's good to see you. But I don't know what's in your heart. But if it's in your heart to do something, you have to know what you're called to do in this thing. Excuse me. And I knew long ago that I was called to be an arranger. You see pictures of me or somewhere around here. Excuse me, either on my Facebook. I'm like 12 years old right now. Parts for people. You know, you gotta know. They used to call me a little wind organ. They used to have the chords on the side and you play the melody with the right side. They used to call me Little Quincy when I was a kid. I was like about 12, 13 years old, thinking I'm gonna be the next Quincy Davis. You know, Quincy Jones rather, Quincy Davis. Quincy Davis is a drummer, but I'm being next Quincy Jones. I mean, that was what I enjoyed. I enjoyed looking at a score. You know, that's hard work, man. I enjoy looking at how can I make this thing work. You know, I enjoy teaching people about reharmonization and composition and things that I've learned. These are things I've enjoyed. I've had some great people in my life pour insight into me. You know what I mean? So at my age, I would be remiss to not share what I've learned. So for anyone who thinks that because you're a certain age, you know, you can't accomplish your dreams and goals, you get rid of that thinking. You just need to refocus. Okay, if you want to write for TV, I want to write for TV. Okay, then you study everything. How do I write? Because half the stuff you see in these commercials nowadays, please, I ain't doing nothing but You know how many songs I hear? They reharmonize old tunes. And Mr. Pirate Brain, you could probably appreciate this as well, because I be hearing like old Madonna grooves in some commercials. I'm like, is it that Borderline? I'm like, ain't that Borderline? What he do? The person who wrote for the commercial, all he did was reharmonize the thing. You can't copyright chords. 1 4 5 1 1 4 7 3 6 2 5 1. These are chord movements. How you gonna? It's been around since before the Baroque era, since medieval era. So I mean, you think about it, I mean, music history is long and deep. You know what I mean? So you can't copyright chords. Now you went and did the melody to Borderline. That's a different story. That's specific. You know what I mean? But nah, man. I mean, people are running around and you know, Branford Marsalis said the same thing. And then I'm gonna get back to talking about the studio tour. Branford Marsalis said there's no new music, and please, folks, believe that there is no new music. There's no new music. They take it from a person who's trying to do experimental music, and it fell flat. Ain't nobody trying to hear it. You better off giving people what they're familiar with. So, you know, that's for somebody, and that's good. JDS, what's up? Hey, man. And who else said hello, everyone? Trusty Studio, what's up, man? Okay. Let's see. Justin AR. Wait one second. Let me jump back real quick, folks. Oh, snap. Yo, this is live television, folks. Okay, hang on a second. Hey, Trusty, yo. Is this was your gig? Oh, my God. I didn't put the two to... See, this is what happens when you get past 50, folks. Yo, that was the bomb diggity, kid. Yo, I'm gonna play it for everybody else again, but I didn't put two and two together. Oh, I'm amusing myself here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yo, your place is killing, B. I didn't put two together. Okay, I'm hoping this is the case. So you're going to have to chime in and let a brother know, because it took me a minute to connect the dots, but they got it connected. This is hilarious. Jennifer Hudson movie in December Life. Hey, I did some work with Jennifer. She's another one. I did a mix to, live mix to DVD for someone with her. I got her original vocal and everything. She another one that she don't even open her mouth. And the girl's like a powerhouse. As a matter of fact, she was just coming off the American Idol thing. So this is the pre Academy Award winning Jennifer. And real nice person too. Really class act. Really sweet person. But and my son also, he photographed a couple of events for her. Really, really nice person, you know. And they had the right person. He told me December, the life of Aretha Franklin. Yeah, she's the perfect person to play her. You know, I could definitely see her cast in that role. But she's really, really, really cool people, man. You meet some folks like that. You meet absolute. I got some stories about people who are absolute, you know what's too. So, and you got to walk away from their negative energy. So, but Max Davies, thank you so much for those words. Most definitely, my brother. So JDS says, where is the Tone Beast? The Tone Beast, I do not own one. I do not own a tone beast. Someone was asking me about the unit, and see, because I have API specific preamps. I don't just go out and arbitrarily duplicate equipment. I don't believe in just buying equipment for the sake of buying equipment. But you got to definitely check out the new tone beast. If you're a person who's doing pop music or guitar driven music, it's definitely the thing to have. You know. Troy Leonardo said, "You are amazing. Thank you." Well, Troy, thank you very much for saying so, man. I appreciate that. You know, I try. I did it. I don't think I'm sharing this, you know, my time spent on Earth and the stuff that I've seen. I've seen a lot of stuff. So if it helps somebody, then, you know, mission accomplished in this life. That's why I wanted your opinion, because I'm trying to separate myself. Yeah, you gotta in the music business, differentiation is very important, because if not, then you wind up if you're in a label situation and you're not that far differentiated from any other, and most labels won't sign two of the same type of artists. They won't do that. You know, they sign based on what they need. I'm talking about labels back in the days, as far as I know. And I'll give you an example. You were saying about you want to do being original. I know people laughed at Mariah Carey when I think she got up there one day and she was singing something live and it didn't go quite well. Live performances, that happens. I got my share of stories from that perspective. But one thing you can't say about Mariah Carey, that the girl can't sing. She can kill. So for all the people who was going to sleep on her and they were laughing after her when she made that, you know, performance that didn't go so well, that next record that she put out was killing. I'm like, see, I told y'all. Don't be calling bluff on somebody. It's like, you know, you calling bluff on a person who got a determined spirit. And once they get that determination, and in her case, it's like, listen, I know what happened. I know that I'm better than this. And then people were laughing and commenting on the performance and how it didn't go so great. And she's washed up. Mariah Carey is killing. I never had a chance to even step in the room with this woman. But when I tell you, from her range in her earlier years, and you hear her speaking voice, and Beyonce is another one that got a very deep speaking voice, but their singing voice is like stratospheric. These are musicians that you like make. And Ayana is another one. Ayana George, look her up, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first heard Ayana sing, I was like, oh my God. Vanessa Bell Armstrong. I mean, the list goes on. I'll be here all day telling you people, singers I've seen and worked with. But that's beside the point. But the tone beast is for more like a pop, you know, sort of music. I would use it in that respect. And Mr. Corral, Joe Corral, I think, who also does a lot of videos for Warm Audio. He's another one of my favorites, and I have a deep respect for, that uses these preamps as tools for specific purposes. So yeah, man. Moving forward, everyone is mixing. Max, you said, yeah, man, I don't get it. Everybody's doing the same thing, and that's a whole lot of people that have no right putting themselves after 2 years. Listen. Listen, a real mix engineer, as far as I'm concerned, is a person who has spent some time, and it takes years to really tune your ears to know what compression sounds like, you know, to know what good balance is. And in your younger years, as you're in your 20s and your 30s, that's when you're, you know, kind of like learning, you know. But nowadays, like I said, everybody with a laptop is a mix and mastering engineer, and it's very unfortunate, because I had a client come back to me and was like, oh, I can't patronize you because you're so expensive. Okay, well, that's fine. You know my hourly rate. But she goes to Pookie and them down the street, and Pookie and them charging her $35 an hour, and she brings the mixes back to me, and I'm like, huh? What? I said, now you got to pay me this $75 an hour that you should have paid up front to get it done right. You know, you're going to pay in, and then when you try and then this is, I'm not beefing on the young people, but Then when I said, why don't you have the person come by so sit with me so I can see how they need to fix? I'm trying to help you so that you don't be trying to charge people $35 an hour and then you give them substandard work. Nah, that's okay. I'll learn. Okay. Who's my professor? One of my professors. I love this guy. Y'all know about Stephen Jablonski. He's like, a fool has himself for a teacher, and that's so true. You can't learn, everything from just sitting in front of YouTube. You can get an invaluable education sitting at the feet of Sylvia Massey. How is that not possible? You'd be just absolutely blind, deaf, and dumb to not pick up some little nugget when you're sitting at this woman's feet or sitting at Chris Lordell's feet. There's a reason why Al Schmidt can mix in like an hour, 2 hours. He's been doing it for years. How do you do it? And he'll tell you the detail as to how. You know what I mean? So, yeah, everybody that claims they're a mix and mastering engineer, they need to cut it out. Okay. Marndo said, I stopped making beats in 2000. Now, within the last year, I was putting together a studio to produce some nice sounding beats. That's cool. Hey, man, a lot of these people, I found that the guys that are selling a lot of these beats on these beat selling sites, go to their studios and mimic their styles. Because they putting together these Timberland like style studios. I know you could do it all on a laptop, folks. But you listen to that early Jay-Z stuff and I'll tell you why it's fat. I know why it's fat. I know why it's fat. You know what I mean? I know everybody wants to do everything in the box, but there's a reason why Timbaland's beats are fat and killing. Hank and Keith Shockley, listen to some of that old stuff, and that'll give you a good frame of reference. But yeah, you got to go outside the box. Trusty Studio, yes, okay, cool, yeah. So Cool Drizzle was in the house as well, and I got some messages down at the bottom. I'm not trying to forget anyone. Forget hardware. All you need is plugins. All right. I told you I know people. I got a friend of mine. He's a plug-in junkie, strung out on plugins. Every new wave plugin that I'm like, okay. All right. You keep giving waves your money. I don't have it like that. I mean, I do, but even if I did, I ain't going out and buying no gold bundle, platinum bundle. It don't make the music sound better. It doesn't. It doesn't compose for me. If I could just throw, a couple of ideas into the computer and it turns out a finished composition, that's a different story. But no, it ain't improving my workflow. So, hey, man, to each his own. To each his own. Oh, man, I would pay to sit with you. I appreciate learning from people. No. See, this is the deal, man, with that. Each one is supposed to teach one. Anytime Al Schmidt can look in the whites of my eyes and tell me, anytime you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so. And I was a kid. It would be wrong of me to charge someone when I know how many platinum records this man got, how deep of a history he got. Bob Clearmountain, hey, reach out to me anytime. So if I can share that with you, it's going to make you better. You got to pay it forward. I'm doing my part. I ain't going to be on this earth forever. I'm doing my part. Now, as you learn, you got to do your part. Everybody ain't going to stay young forever. You know what I mean? So, you got to be able to pay it forward. And that's what this is about. Just jumping couple of streams backwards, people think you on YouTube. Like I'm some random guy on YouTube. I've been doing this for a little bit, man. No, I don't have walls and walls of platinum. That was not what I was chasing. You know what I mean? I was chasing the long game. I had a family. I know my place. I'm fine with it. You got to be comfortable in the skin that you're in. And I wasn't comfortable. I was comfortable. And I know tons and tons and tons and tons of people. A whole lot of folk. I ain't gonna sit up here and bend your ear and name drop. That's whack. Why would I do that? You know what I mean? But see, I was smart enough when I was younger to shut up and observe. Shut up, lend a hand. You know what I mean? Because you're getting, it's a reciprocal thing. So if I'm pouring into you, and you in turn, have this magnificent career, your job is to pour into someone else. You know, not everybody's gonna. You're not gonna hold on to the young people. They don't receive everything out there because sometimes I can be hard to work with, and I'm very demanding. Especially if it's somebody else's money, and I'm hiring you, and you on your phone. Like I said, I'm smacking that phone up out your hand. Because when I was coming up, you had to take this thing seriously. First of all, I'm black. Second of all, there was very few of us outside of Barney Perkins and Jimmy Douglas that was doing this thing in a big way. You know, so those of us of a certain age knew that. So I wasn't trying to be like Barney and Jimmy Douglas, who are great, you know, well, Barney, rest his soul, but Jimmy Douglas, who was a great mix engineer. People don't give this man he's like an unsung hero. Because there's very few of us, Herb Troutwick being one, that are really doing it. You know what I mean? So I decided I wanted to be a tracking engineer. I learned all that there was to learn about that thing. So there's very little that I don't know from that perspective. Combine that with my musicianship, turns into a long-term career. You know, so, you know, yeah, man, this thing is real. If you're trying to you got to have, you know, a long-term vision in the music business. If you're just trying to just be a flash in the pan, man, and there's plenty of kids out there and plenty of, you know, of people who's been doing it for a while who are still chasing. I told you about my friend who's still trying to be an R&B artist, and he's in his 50s. Come on, man. That ship has sailed. It sailed. You know? No, nobody's buying R&B from a 50-something-year-old man trying to be sexy. Your sexy left the building a long time ago. You know, about ready to go by training bra and people trying to cop a peek every time you bending over. So you got nannies now. Stop that. Come on, man. That's whack. At 50-something years old, you trying to be sexy and come on, baby. Barry White. Nah, you got to be very, 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 like I said, like Ray Angry. You go look up Ray on Ray Angry, Aaron Deal, all these guys, man. I seen them when they were younger, and they're younger than me. You know, I've traveled through these, you know, in certain musical circumstances where we were sharing the stage, and in Ray's term, Ray is like a first call musician in New York. There's a reason why. Ray Angry is no joke. He's a musician, period. You know, you got to have, you have to have focus on something, because if you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing every time. You know how long it took for me before I got on YouTube? Like 2.5 to 3 years. You know why? Because I was sitting at the feet of everyone who was doing what I wanted to do, because I wanted to make sure that I came across in the right way, technically in the right way, from a operational standpoint. You don't just arrive knowing. You have to have a long-term goal. So from the years of 2015 to 2017, which was the first launch. So it takes a while. You're going to have to pay your dues, man. You know, and as you learn, you pay it forward, man. You got to help somebody. I mean, I don't get it. Some folk are very, you know, clench fists and they don't want to share the information. But if what I'm saying is helping somebody, that's the most important thing. So with that in mind, the real Major T said he wasted money in school. I don't know. I don't know, man. Education is never a waste. I mean, I'm sure you picked something up. Now, and now if you were, you know, if you flunked college, that's a different story, you know. But it's never wasted, you know. Maybe you didn't have the success that maybe you thought you might have, but there's always that second try, man. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'm on the side. I used to fix audio for DJs and live bands and one saved for one day. That's cool, man. So now let me make sure I didn't forget everyone. Just want to make sure that's fine. Okay. Okay. So let's look at Trusty, my brother, Trusty Studio, who had I really liked your layout, man. But now that you're here, please take everyone through your thought process once we're done. Here you go. Check this out. Oh, Audio School SAE. Ooh, yikes. Yeah, man. Ouch. Yeah, man, I heard about that. Oh, as a matter of fact, they tried to give me a teaching job there, right? Some nefarious people, man. I had to wanted all my private tax information. I'm like, what? Just to be an adjunct? Like, get out of here. I ain't giving you all that.
Welcome to Trusty Productions. We call this the two-seater spaceship. Let's take a tour. Let's begin with the 8K Racing Gaming Chair. A TD-25 Roland drum set. Focal shaped twin monitors. On the desk, we have a Samsung 49-inch curved monitor for viewing sessions. Avid Artist Mix. A CME Bluetooth keyboard. Apollo 16 and twin with 2 satellite octo cards. WA73 microphone, preamp from Warm Audio. SSL Fusion Stereo Analog Color. Dangerous 2-bus, and 2 GPT-50 GIF hard drives with 2 terabytes each. We have a Keylab 88 from Artura. LG 34-inch ultra-wide monitor for tracking. Everything here is powered by a MacBook Pro 2017 i7, 16 gigabytes of RAM, Neumann TLM49 condenser microphone, hope you enjoyed the tour. Questions, comments, or any additional information regarding this tour, feel free to contact us at trusteebiz@gmail.com. That's trusteebiz@gmail.com.
Yes, Trusty Studio, man. That's a nice. Yeah, that is. He said lid. Yeah, yes, sir. Oh, he said that was the reason you got the WA7. That's cool, and I'm sure you like it, and it works well with that that Neumann. Yeah, man, that's most definitely a great setup. And you said you're working in films and apps at the moment, and your 2-bus runs into the Fusion for final mixes. That's cool. That's cool. Now, how do you have to tell me, how do you have that interface? You're going out of the Apollo directly into the 2-bus. How do you have that set up? You know, because I mean, I come from the perspective where I would look at it from the perspective of having it as a point and insert in a patch bay. So I'm assuming everything is hardwired, you know, and you run that right out of that into the Fusion, which I'm sure that Fusion is quite okay. Cool. That Fusion, that thing is something else, man. That's one of the better all-in-one solutions for 2-bus mixing. I mean, it fattens things up like that. And you know, when the irony is that in all the times I've sat behind a SSL console, it's always been the same thing. It sounds thin, and then here they come along, umpteen years later, and now things start to sound fat. You know, because I was shocked. Honestly, the first time I heard it, I was like, "Wow, SSL, really?" I was like, "Wow, they really have come a long way." A great company. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, that is quite a setup, man. And now your workflow, left to right, left drums, your workstation, right piano and stuff. Is that generally your workflow because you're a drummer? Or, you know, take us through that situation, because I know, you know, like most functional places are set up in that horseshoe like fashion, you know what I mean, where you can start here, okay, I'm doing drum tracks, and then you turn around to your keyboards. You know, tell me if that's your workflow. And Max Davies said he loved the was that the Focal? I think you're saying Focals. No, that's set up. Or for real. For real. Better be careful, man. Max might come over to your house. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Can I borrow that Neumann, please? Yeah, man. Man, as a matter of fact, I got some equipment out on loan right now. Called somebody for my stuff the other day, and they acting like their phone don't work. That's why I don't be loaning stuff out often. You know. And when my thing was out, my 1073 was out, I was like, hey, it's time for it to come home, you know, because folks be, you know, you don't want people abusing your stuff. But yeah, but I really like that. And apps, yes, film and apps. There is a lot of work in film. A lot of people are turning to these independent animation studios. It's a lot of that popping up. And who is it that's from Canada again? What's his name? Let me go back. Troy Leonard. Okay, let me go back. Oh wow, that was quite a ways back. I think it was Milan. Yeah. Milan, you probably can attest to this, but there are I've heard a lot of new small animation companies popping up in Canada. And Canada is one of the cheaper places to do media production in terms of, like, if you have to hire a crew and all that other stuff. But yeah, man. If guys are looking for work, man, you can't, you can't fish in the same water. I mean, everybody can't make beats. Everybody can't be a mix and mastering engineer. You got to spread your wings at some point. But that's why I let them. Oh, okay. Aha. Yep, you a drummer. You hear better after you play the drum, because everything, hey, listen, you probably can attest to this too. A good musician will always tell you that all musicians are responsible for the time. Musicians that struggle in keeping time independently, if they're instrumentalists, will always blame the drummer. And the fact that you're saying that you hear better after you play the drums is because you're lining everything up in your brain to the beat. And a lot of people don't do that. But yes, I'm similar in terms of my workflow. I used to do it a lot when I was younger. Everything, the groove dictated everything because I was involved in that type of music, a lot then. But less so now because I'm doing more jazz arranging. And, certain things are idiomatic to certain styles. And jazz has a certain vocabulary that you need to adhere yourself to. And I'm finding that I have to rethink my workflow. But I certainly used to work that way. The groove is down. Okay, you got that happening. And you lay the bass and then you lay all the other stuff on top. But if anyone has any further questions for Trusty Studio and Productions, I have to say I enjoyed your presentation tremendously. I thought it was well done. I wish you all the best, and continued success. That's important. And keep doing you. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's about. And I really enjoy it. So anyone else that is interested, please, I'm going to repost that information as to how you can get your information to me. It could even be just visual. I think the Gurner is not here. He and I have connected. He's from England. And the UK, I should say. But even if I have to do something from a pictorial perspective, it doesn't necessarily have to be as well. Although I prefer it this way because it's your space, you're showcasing your space, and I believe you want to do that in its best possible light, as to have me showing pictures and then talking about it. But this was the bomb, and I really enjoyed it, man. Yes. Arthur Alsop says, nice studio to Trusty Studios. Yes, it was. And it was good. So I will repost the instructions on how you all, and listen, whether you're big outfit or a small outfit, it doesn't make a difference. What works for you is what works for you. And I'm just interested, in what's the way you work. Because everybody's workflow is different. You know what I mean? And that's important to me because, like I was just talking to Trusty, we were talking about how things flow from left to right in that horseshoe-like fashion. That's how I am when I'm composing. You know what I mean? If I'm writing stuff out, I had a composition workstation, then I had a MIDI workstation, then I had a recording workstation. Each had a job function. So I understand that, workflow is important. And Trusty said he's studying Oscar Peterson right now. Yes, but study Oscar's mentor, Art Tatum. That's somebody. They used to call Art Tatum God because Art Tatum was a one-man band on piano. If you have not digested Art Tatum's music, you need to go on YouTube. Not YouTube. Don't even go on YouTube. Go to iTunes, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. There was very few drummers that could play with Art Tatum. Very few, because his timing from a perspective of a pianist was insane. He had impeccable timing on the piano, precision, timing, and study Art Tatum. That was Oscar Peterson's muse. Yes, Warren, I just broke out the He broke out the Atari ST2. Listen, you gotta send me a picture of that, please. Oh, snap. And another musician you should check out, Glendora Woodard. Now, she was Anthony Reed, who was Dana's brother, who's a bass player. Glendora is the one who got me started with Dr. T's on the Atari, because she used to work in Dr. T's, and then she gravitated over to Notator, which turned into Logic. Listen, I am definitely showing my age telling you all this. But the Atari at 1040 SD, oh man, stories. Oh, wow. That's cool. I would love to see that, man. Would love to see that. Cool. But if anyone, Max Davies says, how are those focals? That's for Trusty Studio. So if you could answer his question, we will wait for a second. Yep. That's funny. The Atari ST1040 ST. Okay, and the Dr. T sequencer. That's cool. So we'll wait for a minute and then I'm gonna wrap. But I really did enjoy this journey with Trusty Productions, and I think your place is the bomb diggity. Keep doing you. And I would love to see everybody else's setup because this has been good. And maybe Arthur, maybe you and Trusty could connect with one another and offline. And it, are they flat like as everything? Oh, flat. You say flat now. Hey, you talking about flat? That's something. That's debatable. You know what I mean? Very debatable. Be careful when companies say things like that, flat, because your room plays a huge part in, you know, the goodness of your monitors. That's why I'm always reaching for the Auratones, because every room got a mid-range. You know what I mean? So check out my setup, fam. Okay, most definitely, Max. If you sent it to me, I will definitely check that out, and maybe next week we will take a look at your place. You know, but I'm going to repost. This is for everyone. I'm going to repost the instructions on how to do the studio tour, and Trusty Studio was a very good example as to how you can do it. He went above and beyond. It doesn't have to be that detailed, you know, but more is better, because when people have questions, it's easier for them to have a good visual point of reference if you're detailed in the way you share. So I am going to take one or two more questions, and untreated room, huge dip or bump in the low mids. Justin, okay. No, the vocals are good monitors. You know, I'm not gonna say that they're not. It's just that my experience with, you know, these foreign companies, I have Dynaudios, is that, you know, if you are in a situation where you're gonna be stressing them, like me, this stuff had to stay on for 12 hours, sometimes 16-hour days, and if you work in film, sometimes your equipment is up for days at a time. You can't shut it down because it's the flow, you know, of just the project that you're in demands the room being up, you know, for extended periods of time. So you got to make sure that whatever you're buying is able to take abuse, because it's just like driving a truck, you know, as a delivery person. A commercial truck, a commercial vehicle is going to be subjected to more wear and tear than a normal car will. So you got to think that if I'm in a situation where I'm going to be putting crazy hours on these monitors, then you got to make sure that they can take it. You know, that's my thing. And yeah, getting them fixed, and you know, yeah, trying to get those them Dynaudios. Man, they want 400 and some change just to do a diagnostic and open them up. I might at some point, because I really do like them. I'm not saying in Focals, I'm sure they sound outstanding too. It's just that you know, if you're in operation that, you know, I'm a more of a job-based operation and not necessarily a commercial studio operation. You know, if between jobs these things go out, which they did, then I have to wait for the next big job to take care of a nearly $700 bill. So for less than that, I went out and bought a brand new pair, you know, and that's the way that works. But I'm going to post, this has been good, I'm going to repost the instructions on how you should do your studio tour. We all need to, you know, say thank you to Trusty Studio for sharing his space. And this has been good. So go to the community page. You'll have the instructions, and send your submissions in. And here's one thing. Please do not send the submission to and through like Facebook or provide me a Dropbox links through Facebook. Don't do it that way, because a brother's not on Facebook that often. You know what I mean? And if it is, it's because I'm trying to interface with like my people that I know one-on-one. It's not like, you know, for audio stuff as much, although I'm trying to transition more into that. Your best bet for getting in touch with me is to use the email that is outlined on the channel page. And this way we could, I review my emails all the time, every time. So that's the best way to reach out to me and to get instructions, or if you want one-on-one instruction on how you should do something in terms of the studio tour, reach out to me that way, you know. But I look for the information on the community page. And to Trusty Studio, my brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate your submission, and thank you so much. And to everybody who tuned in today, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you, and it's been good. So for what it's worth, talk to you guys later, and look for future content, you know, and these live streams as well. Okay? Talk to everybody later.